Good evening. Welcome back to my No Name channel, and I'm Bruce, and this is another Bali COVID-19 update for October 11th, 2020. And what do we have today? Numbers first, of course, then domestic tourism not living up to its expectations. Jakarta Protesters and the spread of COVID-19, possibly. Bali protest next. And then, could things get worse? Some, unhappy thoughts. And then we're going to finish up on a positive note, Kembali 2020 festival, and we're going to talk about that. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. And so let's get started. Numbers. Okay, 131 new cases yesterday, so we're up over 100 still. And we reached the 10,000 mark. We now have 10,028 total cases in Bali. 8,598 recovered. That's the good news, and recoveries went up yesterday. And 320 deaths. And we have 1,110 active cases, and that's gone down since the last report, I think, was 1,200 and around 1,210. So that's good news. All the new cases are Indonesians, all local transmissions. Of course, remember that does not mean necessarily all Balinese. It could be people from other islands who are here. 131 new cases. Not positive. And where are the numbers? And here's my favorite map. 35 in Denpasar. Gianyar 24, Badung 21, Klungkung 17, Tabanan 15, Karangasem 13, Buloing only 5, and Bangli 1. Okay, so this talk about opening up, and we still don't have things under control here, and the question is, how many people are going to want to come back? Well, obviously some people do, because there's a lot of foreigners, at least on social media, trying to get into the island. Now, I can understand that some people, if they have family, and the family visas are ongoing now for putting families back together again, which is great news. As far as tourism from China, Korea, Japan, I don't know why they're going to want to go from a place where the numbers are lower to a place where the numbers are higher. So it looks like we're going to be closed until the end of the year. Still, no changes on that. Okay. Let's go on to domestic tourism. So domestic tourism, right? Remember a plan that I talked about, 3 or 4 videos ago, that domestic tourism they were going to switch the balance, and domestic tourism was going to become 70%, and international tourists were going to be 30%. Well, according to Pak Gus Agung, his commonly known name, whole name, Pak Ida Bagus Agung Partha Adnyana, who is the head of the Bali Tourism Board. The level of domestic tourists is still far below expectations. And he said the reason for this is that tourists just don't trust visiting the island of the gods. And it's interesting, this article, he calls it the island of gods. Doesn't call it the tourist island, the resort island, the headquarters of yoga. He calls it the island of the gods, the old name. I like that. So he says that the domestic tourists just do not trust coming to Bali Whether that's true or not, I don't know. That's his opinion. Maybe he's done some research. The article didn't say so. He said that they're afraid of contracting COVID-19 here, which is interesting because people here are afraid of people coming in, the domestic tourists bringing COVID-19 with them. So, but everybody's worried about it. They're worried about catching it while they're here. We're worried about getting it from them. So, that's kind of ironic. And he says that the middle and upper income groups, because of this, are not traveling around the island and spending their money all over the island, that they're renting villas in groups, particularly from Jakarta, and not traveling around the island, just staying in their villas. I don't know, swimming in their pools, maybe going out to eat. Like I mentioned in the video that I did on going to Karangasem, to Kintamani and Ubud up here. I saw a lot of domestic tourists at the coffee shops, those new coffee shops and restaurants up in Kintamani along the volcano and the lake. So this is not really filling the gap, according to him, and he called on everyone here to comply with the government recommendations and to be disciplined in implementing COVID-19 prevention program. And Pak Iwan, who is in the marine tourism business, was at this meeting, said that until the situation, if the situation continues here for another 3 months, there are going to be a lot of marine tourism businesses going bankrupt. They just can't sustain this because I guess the marine tourism is not picking up, and I'm taking that's diving, that kind of thing. Didn't say. I'm guessing that's marine tourism. What else is there? So, okay, not good news, right? The domestic tourists, there are some here. Numbers have gone up, but they're not having a significant impact on the economy. Okay, unfortunate. And protests. Well, protests have been going on around the country now for a little while because of the passage of the job creation law, also known as the omnibus law. And there is a significant opposition to this law around the country, and so protests have been taking place all over, and I'll talk about Bali protest in next. And so one of the things that the government said was that they were worried that these protests, people gathering together, a lot of people not wearing masks, that the virus was going to spread. They were going to create clusters. People were going to pass it on there and then bring it back to their villages. Well, according to a recent article, and of course everything is down below, 14 protesters who were arrested in Jakarta on Thursday, this past Thursday, tested positive for COVID-19. All total, as of the time of the article on Friday, 1,192 students and workers have been arrested in Jakarta. You may have seen the buildings burning down. Things have gotten very heated with this. And the officials are trying to trace the spread of COVID through the universities and workplaces of people that have tested positive. Previously, another 34 detainees had tested positive and were admitted to the hospital and were being tested there. If the situation wasn't serious, I guess they were going to be sent back home to self-quarantine or be in jail. I don't know, in quarantine in jail. That didn't sound good. But there's a significant opposition among students and workers to this law, and as I said, protests are happening around the country. And let's take a look, protest in Bali. So, according to the article below, thousands in Bali protested. Large demonstrations of thousands of students and workers started at Udayana University in Denpasar, and the group marched to the Provincial House of Representatives, and there a battle started between protesters and the police. Protesters reportedly throwing stones, bottles, and other items at the police, and the police responding with tear gas. The majority of the demonstrators who were involved in the action, the battle actions, dispersed around 4:15 in the afternoon after the police started firing tear gas. Another group, however, stayed at the assembly building, making speeches demanding that the job creation law be revoked because it's detrimental to the Indonesian people. And as I said, similar protests have been happening around the country. So this is going on along with the COVID-19 situation, so and our economic problems. So Indonesia is not a real happy place right now. That's unfortunate. And some more bad news. This one, could things get worse? Could things get worse? So the PNPB, which is the National Disaster Management Agency, this past Friday had a meeting and reminded the Balinese of the potential for earthquake up to 8.8 magnitude centered in the south of Bali and Nusa Tenggara. This came from the director of the Disaster Risk Mapping Evaluation of the National Disaster Management Agency. And he said, we have a threat in the south of Bali. There's a zone where there's been no earthquakes for a while, so there's a potential for South Bali and Nusa Tenggara to have an earthquake of possible magnitude of 8.8, even as much as 9.1, like when we had the giant tsunami in 2004. I'm not sure where this information is coming from that we're set up for the big one, because we haven't had one in a long time. We could go a long time without having a big one. Anyway, this was a warning from him, and he said that if there was such an earthquake, Nusa Dua, Kuta, Sanur, Denpasar, and Badung Regency would be severely impacted by possible tsunami of 4 to 15 meters in height, and that because there are many roads running perpendicular to the beach, this would speed up the water coming in from the tsunami. It would travel more quickly. He also mentioned that if there is a tsunami, if there is this giant earthquake, and a tsunami occurs, it would take 30 to 40 minutes for it to reach land, which would give people time to evacuate. And so he said it's important for people, if they feel an earthquake that lasts more than 20 seconds, they need to be ready to go. He said if it's less than 20 seconds, it's not likely that a tsunami will occur. I'm not a geologist, I'm an anthropologist. I don't know. This is interesting. I'm going to take a further look at this and see how much of this is science and how much of this is, well, I don't know. He further noted that there are many evacuation routes, and if you've been around here, if you live here, you'll see them. We see them all over Singaraja. There was an evacuation here of my neighborhood. How many years ago was that? 10 years ago, maybe. I just happened to be down in Kuta at the time, overnighting with some friends and doing some drinking, and there was a big quake, and they evacuated the people in my neighborhood up to the park in the center of the city. The head of the National Disaster Management Agency, Donnie Menardo, said, like it or not, whether it is happy or not, our country has the highest risk of disaster in the world. Okay, this sounds like a little fear-mongering. However, he concluded we must be grateful for the richness and beauty of our natural resources. Kind of mixed messages here, in a way. I'm not sure. Certainly we need to be prepared if there's a big one here, but I don't know. Like right now, I think that's the least that we have to worry about. This was just a warning from the Disaster Management Agency. Okay, so, wow, a lot of bad news. What about good news? Well, here's some. Kembali 2020, a Rebuild Bali Festival. Now, if you're a resident or a frequent visitor, I'm sure you've heard about the famous Ubud Writers and Readers Festival that happens every year down in Ubud, and that started, there's a long history to this. It started after the big bombing in 2002, and it was to bring people back. And so it's going to take place here again this year, but digitally this time. And so it's going to be a global festival, and it'll be happening from October 29th until November 8th. It will feature 100 storytellers and culinary figures who will digitally join in intimate discussions and powerful performances from around the world. So people are going to do all this online, and the Writer and Readers Festival has joined up with the Ubud Food Festival, another famous, not as famous as the Writers Festival, but another famous event. Ubud is known for this stuff. And so you're going to have food and literary figures, and the program sounds fascinating. And well, there's a lot of information about it. I'm not going to go through all of it. There's links down below. You can, and I've got a link to the website if you want to find more about it, so that you can take part in this. It sounds like a great opportunity. I've never gone to the Writers Festival just because I really hate crowds. There's going to be some really cool people this year. There always are. Really cool people this year discussing their writing and cooking recipes. So you want to take a look at that? This is because, according to the director and organizer, Janet Denef, I don't know if I'm saying her name right. She owns a restaurant, big restaurant down in the south. And she said, we want to stimulate the island's economy and tourism sector since Bali is Indonesia's hardest hit region. But safety is and always will be our first priority. Join us to celebrate Indonesian cultural heritage and contemporary culture while rekindling hope and inspiration in extraordinary new ways with Kembali. So, good thing. We can use all the good news we can get and all the positive actions, and I think this one sounds like a great one. So take a look at that website and see if you want to join in. And so this is a quick one. I have to admit, I've been working on. I've got some new tech toys, and so I wanted to do another tech video. I like doing the one on the Mavic Mini, and I have some new DJI stuff that came in, and so I'm going to do a couple of videos on these tech things that I use here, that if you are here and you want to do some filming, do your own YouTube channel, or you want to be an Instagram influencer. I hope not. Well, you can take a look at those. And so that's it. And I'm working on the anthropology, history of anthropology, but it's really slow because, well, it's just slow. So that's it. Thanks for all the messages, the comments, the likes, new subscribers. I appreciate it. It's nice to know that somebody is enjoying these videos. And so that's it for today. Thanks. If you like this, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. And if you want to leave a comment, leave a comment. Unfortunately, we're going to be closed for a while. Oh, and I was going to talk about the situation in Thailand with opening up, but didn't have time. So next time. So that's it. Stay safe. Follow regulations. Wear a mask. And be kind to someone today. That's it. See you next time. Thanks.